Hi everybody, welcome back to Jakey Kate Reads. This is my January wrap-up. I read 7 books in January and I am going to be ranking those books from worst to best. I only vlogged 3 of those books, so there's going to be some new content here, new opinions, and even a 5-star, which y'all have not heard about. So let's get into it. 3 of the books I read this month were exclusively on audiobook, so I do not have them. I will be posting them here. The first was my least favorite book of this month, and it was whatever this is called, The Mysterious Case of Rudolph Diesel, I believe. It was a nonfiction book. It was one of the picks for the book club that I'm in, and I just thought, like, not even content-wise, like, I didn't really care about a lot of the content, but just as a nonfiction book, like, it just wasn't very good. I shouldn't say that. I feel like that implies that, like, there wasn't anything to learn, and there was. I just think, like, the pacing was really bad, and it just, like, wasn't what it promised. So I guess I shouldn't say it was bad as a nonfiction book. It was just bad as a book. The title makes it seem like it is about a mystery, and it's only a mystery for the last 20%. What it is mostly is a biography of Rudolph Diesel, who was the inventor of the diesel engine. He died under very mysterious circumstances, which this ostensibly is supposed to be all about. And we finally get there, but we go through his entire life. We start with him as a child and what got him into engineering, which was good. Like, I enjoyed that part. But then for the entire middle, it's like a book about geopolitics and the way the diesel engine affected the global economy and, like, the world. And I just, like, didn't care. So, like, that's a me thing. Like, I didn't care about the content. So, like, why would I rate it any higher? This is a 2, by the way. But, like, just also, like, as a book, it, like, wasn't what it was promised, and it, like, really, really slogged as it got through all that geopolitics stuff. The pacing was really bad. And then, like, because it's not clear how this man died, he was on a boat and then disappeared from the boat is what happened. And, like, by the end, a bunch of reasons are listed as to potential theories that all have moderate amounts of evidence. And then the author comes in to say, actually, none of this is true. Here is what actually probably happened, with, like, less evidence than any of those other things. So, like, why are you giving your own theories and opinions with no evidence? So yeah, it was just bad. The next book, it was rough times for my book club, these last 2 picks. It's another book club pick. It was Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy R. Rendon. I initially gave this a 3.5, but time changes all ratings. I haven't looked back on this feeling negatively, but I also haven't looked back on it feeling good. I've looked back on it feeling mid. And other books I read this month that I gave 3 stars, I've looked back on, despite their issues, I look back on them as enjoying them. And I don't look back on this as enjoying it, but I don't look back on it as not enjoying it. It's just whatever. Like, it was a book that I read. So I'm changing for those book club members that watch. I do not believe this was a 3.5 anymore. I'm changing it to a 3, a lower 3 than the other books I gave 3. This is about this woman, Quill, who she's Native American. She lives on a reservation. She's going on a run one day, and she hears a woman screaming in the woods where she's running. Missing person reports come in, and it turns out she heard the woman who is missing, like, that was who she heard screaming. And it inspires her to take action with respect to the epidemic of Native American women and children who go missing on reservations. And there's a lot of important messaging in this book about Native American women going missing at incredibly high rates with not really a lot of media attention or action from authorities. And that's, like, her main story and her main motivation. And, like, there's great messaging and conversation, really important messaging and conversation surrounding those issues. But there is also, yes, important messaging and conversation about other issues that plague people living on the reservation. But like at that point, when we're introducing all of those things, like now we're just kind of talking about too much. And I feel horrible saying that because those are all like the only thing affecting people living on reservations, affecting Native American people, is not Native American women going missing. Like, that's not the only thing that's wrong. So it's not the only thing that should be talked about. But for the purposes of one story, one novel, it felt like the author was trying to explore and analyze the exhaustive list of things that affect people living on reservations. And like, it just affects the narrative. So like, it was just, in that respect, it was just kind of muddy. And then like, it was a lot of cyclic, the plot just kept going around in circles. Like, she in investigating the disappearances, like, she's with her friends, and then they're driving to where they last saw her, and then they're going to the casino, and they're checking out, they're like, you know, sort of trying to investigate the white men at the casino, and oh, is that the truck that we saw the other day? And they just keep going back to the same places. Like, she's checking on her friends, she's gathering her friends, they're going to the casino. Like, everything I just said happens like 3 times, like, in that same series of events. So like, the plot just kind of stalls. And like, sure, maybe like, as that happens, they're learning new information each time they revisit these scenes, but like, we're just revisiting the same scenes like over and over. And it just like slogged as a narrative. But, and like, that feels bad because like, we have really important conversations in this book, but like, as a story, like, okay, my next 2 books I did an entire vlog about. I'll link that down below. I'm not going to talk too much about them. They were None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell and A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeek. I said in that vlog that I did not know, I gave these both a 3, and I didn't know which one I preferred over the other. And I promised that by the time I did my January wrap up, I would know, and indeed I do. I'm going to preface this by saying that my opinion on which book I preferred more is like probably wrong, and that's fine. Like, it's my opinion. But I am saying that my number 5 book is A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeek. And my number 4 book is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And the reason I say that that is wrong is because I think objectively this book does a lot of really damaging things. It has a lot of conversations about abuse and trauma and domestic violence, grooming. Like, there's a lot of heavy topics unpacked here. They're not handled with, like, I can't even say they're not handled with a lot of care. Like, they're not handled with any care at all. So I just think that for the conversations this book is trying to have, it does like a lot wrong. And like, please, before you read this, look up the trigger warnings. Like, there is a lot of potentially triggering things in here that if those things affect you, like, reading this and not knowing to expect that, like, would be really harmful. So especially because this book doesn't really have a lot to add to those conversations that are meaningful. Not even meaningful. Like, I think the things this book does are like kind of damaging. So like, for those reasons, that's why I say I am wrong in saying that this is a better book than this, and especially this. But as someone who is not affected or triggered by the things this book does, like, what is my subjective rating and what was my experience reading this book? And it comes down to the enjoyment of the writing, the plot, the characters, the journey. And all of those, I think, were better in here for me. Lisa Jewell's a great writer. Like, saying nothing about the way she handles large topics or conversations, like, she can craft a good plot and an exciting story. And like I said in my vlog where I read this, like, this produces the same sick fascination that like true crime content does. And true crime content is also really damaging and harmful. Okay, so like, I'm talking about both of these in tandem because I made a promise in my vlog and I'm keeping it. Like, I'm saying which one of these I enjoyed more than the other. But this is my number 5, A Short Walk Through a Wide World. I did a whole vlog on it, link down below. This is about a woman. She has a curse put on her that she has to keep moving. She cannot stay in one area for more than a couple days or she'll start to die. And I voiced all my criticisms in the vlog. The only thing I don't think I said, there are mysteries that are brought up here that you hope to have answers to by the end of the book. I don't think we ever got answers to them. So, like, I finished this feeling unsatisfied. All of the mysteries that are brought up here, we get answers to, but I felt unsatisfied for different reasons in that, well, I talked about it in my vlog, but this whole thing, she does nothing with this. Like, she just spoils her book. Like, that's all she does. She just spoils her book by giving it this title and this synopsis. She just spoils her book without doing anything with that trope. Whatever. Like, this book pissed me off. But as a journey and as a mystery and as something exciting to read, like, this book bored me at a point. Like, I enjoyed this book too, but at a point this book got boring. This book did not get boring. It just pissed me off. So, like, my own subjective enjoyment, like, out of all my 3 stars, I subjectively like more the book that didn't bore me. These ones kind of bored me. But all of my disclaimer is this book is, like, could be seen as, like, very harmful and damaging. Whatever. I'm gonna stop talking about it. Okay, my number 3 book I don't have. That was Murder Road by Simone St. James. This is about a couple. They are driving. They are going on their honeymoon. They end up on a sort of desolate stretch of highway where they find someone, a young woman. She has been stabbed and they are trying to rush her to the hospital, and she ends up dying in their back seat, but they see a truck. Like, the truck starts to chase them, and they turn off the road in time to get to the hospital, and the truck, like, goes past them, so they have a very close call with the supposed killer of this young woman, and unbeknownst to them, they are now in the middle of a mystery on this road that spans decades. And apparently on this road, people are found dead a lot. People are going missing a lot on this road. And now they, as the only people ever identified to have witnessed something happen on this road, they are now the prime suspect. So it's about them trying to figure out who killed this woman, how did she die, what's the mystery. It was really good. It was really fun. It was scary at times. I really like these characters. Like, there is more to their interpersonal relationship and, like, just them as people, like, not even as a couple, but, like, them as people that get exposed because of this whole thing, and they have really interesting backstories themselves. So it's not, like, just this, like, murder mystery plot. It, like, is also, there are things happening with them that come to light because of the situation they find themselves in. And I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a good time. It was scary. And, like, yeah, it had good characters. So I had a good time. Okay, number 2, my second favorite book I read this month was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I gave this a 4. Did I say I gave Murder Road a 4? I don't remember. I gave this a 4. Again, this was in that same vlog that None of This Is True and A Short Walk Through a Wide World are in. So again, linked below. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but this is about a woman in, like, the 1950s. She's a chemist and she ends up on a cooking show, as the host of a cooking show where she is cooking through the lens of chemistry, like using chemistry to teach housewives to cook. And it's really fun. It has great characters. My only gripe with it was there was not enough of the TV show, and it was a whole lot of romance. That's a personal preference. There's every reason to believe that somebody reading this would give it 5 stars. There's every reason to believe that somebody reading this would, like, this would be one of their new favorite books of all time. And I very highly, highly, highly recommend it. So this was fantastic, and I consider this a win from this month. But then my number 1 win for the month was something I didn't even vlog, but it is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a memoir. Chanel Miller was the Emily Doe in the Brock Turner sexual assault case. And this memoir is about her as the person who was affected by this assault, and her just experiencing the entire media backlash that came out of it. And it's just so impactful. Like, it's just so powerful. And like, Chanel Miller is like crazy incredible writer. Like, she is such a talent, and she lets the reader into like these raw feelings of being a sexual assault survivor and having your assault be so public and so scrutinized by the media and by the country. It's just such a powerful clarity that she has with narrating that experience. And she has so much to say about how her experience can be a sort of, or is an example of, the larger culture surrounding sexual assault. Culture seems like a weird word to use, but like the way the general public views survivors and views women in general. She's just so insightful as to how her experience points to so many different problems in our society, and like different aspects of her experience, really exposing those issues. I don't know, she's just, it's just so incredible and devastating and powerful. And Chanel Miller is just such an incredible person and such a talent. And this is for sure going to be something that I reread. Like I said, I listened to it on audiobook exclusively. I don't even have it, but like, I'm definitely going to get it because there's so many things to underline. And I'm mad at myself because when I was listening, I wasn't even bookmarking the things that are like really powerful. And I so should have. So like, because there were so many, like there were so many impactful things that she had to say that like that I need to be able to go back to and remember. So yeah, this was just incredible. Very, very, very incredible memoir. So those were the 7 books that I read this month, ranked from worst to best. Only 1 5-star so far. And we may be talking about that book again at the end of the year when I'm recapping all of my favorites. So I hope you stay with me as we're going into month 2 of JKK Reads, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.